boys and girls, we are going to continue our Ted Harrison polar bear. So this is the finished product. Now last week, we started with our background. And if you haven't finished this already, make sure you paint your whole, like, I put the pattern of the sky, and most of you did that, and then I painted in my mountains and the land colors. You do not have to have the same exact colors that I have, because as we've discussed before, the paint sets are not consistent. That means they are not the same. So we don't all have the same exact colors, but any bright colors that you may have used in the background will work just fine. Now you can take this paper out, or you can, we're going to take this paper out, or you can leave it in your sketchbook, but keep it somewhere safe. I'm going to put this aside. So you're probably wondering how we're going to do the polar bear. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. For today's activity, you will need a pair of scissors, probably much smaller than these. That's just what I have in the house right now in my studio. You may want to use a pencil and an eraser to initially draw your polar bear, but I'm not. I'm going right into this. I'm just going to put my pencil and eraser away, otherwise we'll be sitting here watching this M draw for a long time. You will need markers, but you actually only need one marker. That marker is the black one. So I'm going to pull my black marker out. The other thing that you are going to need, which is super important, is your glue. So at this point in the video, you may want to pause the video and make sure that you have all of the materials that you need. So paper, scissors, marker, glue, optional pencil and eraser. That's your choice. I'm going right into this. So for my polar bear, I'm doing a draw along. So hopefully you either have your marker or pencil. Remember, you can use a pencil and go over it with a marker, or you can just go right into it and use your marker. Now I have a scrap piece of paper. I'm going to label this scrap. This scrap piece of paper, I use this every time I put it between my sheets of paper. I only have 50 sheets of this white paper. And therefore, I want this white paper to be nice. So I put a scrap piece in so there's no bleeding. Now, I do not want my polar bear to be too tall. I don't want him going up here. I don't want him to be too small. So I want to think about, where do I want to start drawing my polar bear? And where I want to start drawing my polar bear is right here in the middle. So if I take my fingers and I figure out, okay, this is about the middle here, this is the middle here, this is about this point. Put your finger in the middle of the paper. Do that now. Not too high, not too low, but boom, right in the middle. You are then going to take whatever you're drawing with. I'm going right in there with a marker because I am moving life on the edge. And I'm going to draw an oval. So I start out like with a line, and I go around. Why is this not sticking? There you go. Put your cap on the back. Snap it on there. Okay? This way we don't lose the cap. More markers die because of lost caps than anything else. And nobody wants that. You can draw your nose in. You can leave a little part white if you want. I think I'm going to do that. That looks cute. This is going to be the nose of my polar bear. Then the next part, after I do his little nosy, you can see how big it is in relationship to the paper. It's not too big and not too small. I'm going to draw this little line coming down. Just a straight line going down from the nose. After that, you are going to draw his little mouth. Look how cute he is. Okay. Now we are going to draw, I'll put a dot up here, and I'm going to draw an oval. So it's going to be flat up here, a little bit. It's going to come down. Watch what I do before you draw it. Take your time. This is his snout. It's adorable, right? Then he's going to have his eyeballs. There's one eyeball here. You can leave a little white spot in the eyeball. You know, it depends on who you watch draw. Some people like to leave like a little white spot in the eyeball. Oh, nice if my eyeballs were at the same height. He's turning his head a little. Who goes that? There we go. So you can leave a little white spot if you want. Like there's that little bit of light glowing on his nose. I see a face sticking out from there. Then, I know, adorable, right? I'm going to put a dot up here. And I'm going to come down and around. You really can't go wrong with the polar bear. Like that. So, there we go. But he needs ears. How can he hear you? Over here, we're going to put one ear over here. And the inside of their ear is black. And then we're going to draw the outside of the ear. But he's not a one-eared polar bear. He's got 2 ears. So we're going to put an ear here. Color in the middle. Take your time. And then around the outside. So there's the outside. Look at that. That is a polar bear, people. Now, he's got paws. His paws will come out and go back in, and he's got like these claws, because he's a polar bear, not a person. They're just triangles, skinny ones. And then we'll put another paw over here. There we go. But wait, there's more. Maybe you want to add, I added a little bit of texture around. Maybe I can even give him some like eyebrows. I love eyebrows. I don't know why on animals. I love eyebrows so much. My dogs have eyebrows, but they came that way. I did not put eyebrows on them. That would be weird. Take your time. So this is to show texture. Texture is one of those elements of art. And what kind of a texture would a polar bear have? Oh, they would have fur all over them. Okay, so here's my polar bear. I'm gonna make sure with these markers that you, like, okay, it looks like the cap's on, but it's not. If I left it like that, it would dry out. So you take your hand and you want to listen for the snap. Snap the cap. Make sure it's on there nice and tight. And then when you're done, make sure you return your marker to the box so you have a full set of markers, or wherever you're keeping them. Some people have got special cases for their art supplies to keep it safe. I recommend something like that, but at the very least, just keep it in your box, in your bag, somewhere safe, so you have it for next week. All right, so we have to somehow take this polar bear. I'm going to carefully come out, and I need to put my polar bear, I clear my workspace, on this paper. That's not. So what do I need to do? Let me take this and put this somewhere safe to the side. So I'm only going to do this to this polar bear. I'm going to take my scissors. Now be very careful when we carry scissors. We carry scissors with the point in our hands, with the handle up top. We hand scissors to people like this so that nobody gets accidentally poked. You never want to poke people, that's no good. And when we use scissors, we have like 2 or 3 fingers down here, and our thumb goes here, and the scissor hand opens and closes. And that's the only thing my scissor hand does. This is my right hand. Opens and closes. Now, my left hand is very helpful. It's a helper. It helps move the scissor. So I am going to very carefully cut along the black line. So that line that I drew is like a road, but I want to be very careful as I cut. For example, I bet somebody's going to cut an ear off. That's no good. You want to make sure that when you come to the end where the ear is, you stop and you're going to, with your left hand, I'm going to turn the paper, and then once it's turned and lined up, I'm going to, see what I'm doing? This hand is turning the paper while my right hand stays still. Your left hand, it would be the opposite. And I slowly and carefully cut out my polar bear. Taking your time. It's not a race, I promise. This is a very hard, you think paint was hard? No. Painting was the easy part. You know what the hard part is? Cutting. And it takes a long time. Take your time cutting. It is not a race. Boom. And just like that. Now, this is a scrap. You could use this scrap for testing things, cutting little white pieces out. So you may want to actually just put this back in your sketchbook. Or another option is you could keep scraps of paper in an envelope or a folder so that when you need a little teeny tiny piece of white paper, boom, you got it. Okay, so here's my polar bear. And I need to put my polar bear in their natural habitat, the Yukon. So, how am I going to attach? You know what? I think my polar bear might be. See, I wanted more of the mountains to show. So I might put my polar bear down there. See how it kind of changes? So we think about space. If we put the polar bear up here, we don't get to see a lot of our mountains. If we put the polar bear too far low, we don't see much of the polar bear. So there's something maybe about there. Okay, so I'm going to have to actually go back and cut off a little bit of the bottom, but I'm going to do that at the end. So again, I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to take very carefully the cap off of my glue. I'm going to put it somewhere safe, like right there. And I only need a little bit of glue. See how I just have a little bit sticking out? And I'm going to put some glue right here. And I'm going to go around the outside of my polar bear. Okay, so I did like an outline. Now, I know I'm going to cut some of this off, so I'm just going to start here. Okay, when I'm done, I'm going to make sure that it's all that's in. And I don't want to leave the cap like this. I want to make sure I snap the cap. It's not as loud as the marker, but same thing. And then I'm going to put my glue back. I have a drawer with my supplies. Put it back in my drawer. So here's my polar bear. And I want to think about, where is my polar bear? Right about there. Okay. And I'm going to give it a little rub. I'm going to flip my polar bear over. Now you see this part of the paper that hangs over. You could leave it. That would be okay. Or you could come back with a pair of scissors and cut it like I'm going to do, just so that it's all the same length. Now, I'm only cutting up to, and I know somebody's going to cut the actual background. You don't want to do that. Very carefully. Good. So this is my polar bear. Now, at this point, you would take a picture of your polar bear and send it into Seesaw. This one turned out a little Well, this one's like tall and thin, and this one's short and chubby, but they're adorable. And I hope, let me put my scissors away so next time. I hope that you enjoy this project. Perhaps you and your grown-ups can have a place where you can hang your work so that you can enjoy it. That's always fun, right? Refrigerators make a good place. I know several of my friends have places on walls that they hang stuff, so you guys can enjoy it, but make sure you send a picture in to me on Seesaw. Have a great day.